Guess that doesn't do anything. Mic check, mic check.
Microphone check, 1, 2. How are you?
Excellent, brother. How we doing?
I'm doing well, man. Glad to be a part of the great show called The Community Beacon. We're back again, once again,
Each and every Friday.
each and every Friday.
That we are consistent with for sure. Guys, welcome to Community Beacon, Palm Beach. Mike Seville, your real estate guy here in Northern Palm Beach County. On the other side of the screen, we have the
Oh,
incomparable.
hold on,
Oh,
hold on. That's for Palm Beach Mike right there. All right, we good now.
There we got my brother. The sound effects, the effects, in the EOS fitness shirt, Mr.
Yeah, that's
J.
true. That's true.
J.
Thank you, Mike. This shirt is for you. I had brought in so many people that finally, after you came in,
Finally,
they were like, "Get a man a shirt. Let him
you
have a
know what?
shirt."
I advocated for the shirt. I said the brother has to get something. I said so. Make sure you have the shirt ready for him. As soon as I signed up, I said I texted you. I was like, "Hey, brother, it's a shirt waiting for you at the front desk. So
I
make sure
got it.
you
Got it
make
now.
make sure you pick it up, man. Health is wealth, and I'm glad we're both in there doing what we got to do to make it through. All right, and I'm rhyming already, so this is gonna be a good show, man. Last week we had the series, or last month rather, the entire month of February, we did the series on habits, which I thought was very, very fruitful. So for those of you guys who didn't get a chance to check it out, we spoke about habits, replacing some habits, how to get healthy, so on and so forth. We went pretty much in depth. I mean, imagine 4 shows all about an hour and change each of habits. And this is not, and most of the ideals that we spoke about, they weren't necessarily novel ideals, but I believe we did bring a lot of clarity to them. So that, above all and the most, we brought clarity. We brought some of our own views on it. So if you haven't had a chance to check that out, go check out habits. And now we're jumping into identity. Apparently the shows is identity and influence. I really sent you like 4 things. I said, man, pick one that we'll do a series on. I think you just picked them all. You said, brother, they all good. And
Mhm.
so and so here we are jumping into identity and influence. So how do you want to approach this subject, brother?
Man, I stay right there. Well, just identity, and just jumping into identity because I think this is a big thing to talk about. Listen, guys, we've been talking about identity for I don't know how long. The identity is really, really a big thing, especially with men. And I know that it's a big thing with women too, but we kind of cater a little bit more predominantly to the men. Not that women can't get something out of what we talk about, because a lot of these things go for human beings, right? We're talking to the human being in somebody, but we definitely want to identify with men. When you come down to identity, it's all about your core beliefs, your values, your self perception. It's what and how you are shaped within inside of your own mind and how you present yourself to the world, right? So when I started thinking about identity, I'm not just thinking about like what I identify as, because that word has, or that phrase has become so watered down to put us in places that I don't think we really need to be in. We're starting to surf in territories that, there's too many sharks. And you have the opportunity of losing a life, losing a limb, because we're just messing around with identities and we're just throwing identities out there in the world like, oh, yeah, I identify as. Like, hold on, pump the brakes. Some things we don't need to be identifying as. We just need to be, period. You don't need to identify. When I was born, I was a man. There's no need for me to identify as a man because I already am one. Like, does this microphone identify as a microphone? No, it's a microphone. It is what it is. So it's just like when we start talking about identity, we want to get deeper into this. We want to get into the psychological aspect of identity. We want to understand, not just the biology, because I think that the biology speaks for itself. Like, you don't go around calling a dog a cat. What on earth? Could you imagine if every single cat on the earth, if you just started walking around, there was a group of people that says, that's a rhino. Like, you'll be like, what's going on? Are you stupid? Did you not pass kindergarten? Do you not know what a cat looks like? No, it's a rhino. No, it's a cat. It goes meow. No, I identify it as a rhino. No. And that is what's happening in these days, is that we are taking things that have been age old true and we are creating something brand new simply because we don't like the definition that was there in the beginning. Now, I know I took a lot of time to talk about that, but I'm just saying that just so that you can know we're not talking about
Well, I'm glad. Say it with your chest next time. I'm glad you got that off of your chest as we delve into it. Identity. All right, the brother normally before he went on that tangent, he would normally give us the exact definitions, but I have them for us since the brother didn't do it. He has something on his mind, and I'm glad. And as a matter of fact, I'm glad he did say all of that. So the beliefs, values, and habits that make up how you see yourself and how you show up in the world. So it's example is the blueprint behind your decisions. Um, Ideally made up of these three things help to shape it, rather not made up of, but these three things help to shape it. The brother delved deep into the biology definitely shapes your identity. When you're born, they're giving you a gender. You are male or female. Only thing I would dive deeper into, I don't think we all born men. I think we are born male or female. I think it's a becoming of a man. There's something that you choose, and when I'm talking about in the deepest sense of the word man, okay, because we got a lot of people masquerading as men and they're boys, they're just males, right? They're biologically, but they're not showing up as men. I think that comes with some things that come with it. it's, it's heavy. It comes with like some accountability. So definitely delve into that at some point in time, I'm sure, as we get into identity. Then you have your environment. Your environment is probably one of the biggest shapers of your identity. The people, places, and things that you are around, right? So a person who's born in South Florida may be somewhat different from someone who's in New York, who may be somewhat different from someone who's in Africa, who's in Europe, who's in Asia, who's in India, all these different places. I did, yeah. I mean, just the way that you talk is going to your environment shapes the way you talk. Which and we use our language to help identify what it was that we are. And then of course you have your culture. So you maybe have your mother, you have your father, you have your your local culture, so specific to the house, how you were raised in that culture. Then we went out to school and we were raised differently there. How many of us were a little bit different growing up than we were in the house than when we were out there in the and at school? I know I was just a little bit different when I was in the house. I spoke like a choir boy. When I was out there in the world, I might have been cursing like a sailor. I knew when to stop it though. So, you had these different cultures that were going on, and sometimes our identity wasn't in alignment with each other. We had different identities, some with our schoolmates, some with our parents, maybe when you went to church, and because there's a culture there as well. So, and decorum plays a part in it, which is a part of the culture. So, you got your biology, you got your environment, you have your culture in regards to it. And in these different whether it's the environment or the culture, sometimes you're given an identity as far as what it is that you believe, not sometimes, all the time, what you believe, how you go about expressing it, what you can express, what you can express. And so, by the time I want to say it was the minister who said, by the time you're about 5 or 7, a lot of this stuff has already been given to you. Now we're at a point and we're having this conversation because and we don't need to give you permission, but you get to choose a lot of these things, right? You get to choose how you show up, what it is that you believe in, and you go from there.
Hmm. Let's jump in on that. The choosing. I just had a mentoring session a little earlier with the whole word choose. The word choose it was in the gate. It was in the gate. Yeah, we went down that pathway with choosing and also with deciding, right? And I look at choosing and deciding as just there being a slight difference. One in choosing is you have either or, however many options there are, and deciding as in making a definitive choice, if I can use the word choice, choose again, and that means like the other option must die. So when I look at deciding, I look at it as the other option must die. So I can choose to jump in the water. I could choose to stay on the pier, right? If I jump in the water, I can choose to get back on the pier, or I can choose to stay in the water. But when I decide, it's like, okay, I decided to get in this water. There's no getting back on the pier. I'm going to swim until my swimming is done. I don't care if it's cold. I don't care if it's hot. I don't care if it's rocky. I don't care if it's not. I decided to make a move in a specific direction, and I'm not going to finish what I'm not going to quit on it. I'm not going to back up on it unless I do what? I decide to go a different way. Not that different way is back the same way I came. It's a decision. But I look at it that way. So why do I mention that? Because the brother was mentioning beliefs. And I just wanted you all to understand my perspective on those words because they can be very much so interchangeable. So we don't always know what a person is actually what they mean until we get clarification. Sometimes me and the brother, we can be talking about the exact same thing, but using different words. And so we will go deeper into our conversation because we need to understand, clarify what you're saying. And this happens to people all over, right? You get into a conversation with somebody, they use a different word, and because they use a different word and you don't associate with that word the same way, many times it'll cause an argument. And at the end of the argument, you may figure out you all were talking about the same thing the whole time. So you got to broaden your perspective in some cases. Anyway, he went down the road of belief. And that was one of the things that we need to discuss when it came down to identity. I mean, he covered a bunch of things: environment, people. I like to say, words, people, environment, experience. Those four things. Those are those four things that make a significant impact on your identity, right? And the narrative that you believe, or that is written for you, or that you accept during the course of all of those different pillars. So, belief, an internal narrative is what we're getting at. That's what a belief. It's an internal narrative. It's the system. It's the system of trusting in something, real or unreal. You trust in something. Now, belief is the beginning aspect of trust, and it does not necessarily mean you do trust, because there's disbelief, which is a form of belief. Doubt is the same thing as belief, only turned upside down, right? If you had a quarter, heads or tails, both of them could be belief, right? Essentially. But one of them is believing that this is a positive inflection, and the other one that this is a negative inflection. And it's up to you, essentially, or it's up to your environment on which is which. So the belief system is internal. It all happens right here in between your ears. And your belief system shapes which way you're going, how you're getting there. It's the who, what, when, where, and why of your identity. And people are always talking about, I don't believe, I don't believe. You don't believe in what? What do you not believe in? What is it? Tell me. I don't believe. Well, sometimes they're just trying to say, I don't believe in religion. Okay, so you're not a believer? Do you believe that that chair will hold you? Well, yeah. That's not the same thing. Well, hold on. Belief is belief is belief. What you believe in may differ, but it's still belief. These are core beliefs. It is a system of how the brain actually operates and sees everything. Everything. You cannot see, you cannot conceptualize what you see without belief. Because belief, when you were in kindergarten, they said the apple is red. You had to believe them. You were learning a belief. The apple is red. If you had went to another country where everybody could only see in shades of black and white, they might have said the apple is gray, and you would have believed it until you went somewhere where they said it's red. This is what red looks like. Well, what's red look like? See, that's what a belief is. So where am I getting at with this? Our internal beliefs are based on our own perception of how we receive the narrative of our life. That creates a piece of our identity. The identity that you desire to have as you get older, when you get older like me, or you get into your 20s, even into your late teens, when you're in your teens, you have a choice. But when you get late teens to 20s, you start deciding. There's a change. Things start to become a little more concrete to you. In your teens, mid-teens, it becomes a little more concrete. Sometimes when I'm talking to my son, he'll tell me part of his belief system, and he'll say it as if there is nothing else in the world. It must be true. Because you're starting to form your identity right around 14, 15, 16. You're forming an identity. So everything is a very strong belief. This is the narrative that you have chosen, and now you are deciding to stand on. Some people say, I plant my flag. And there's a shift. So us as people, when we start to deal with identity crisis, it is when we have beliefs that do not align. So we're shaken and we're blown about. What can we do about that? Clarity. I've said a whole lot, and it's more like an open conversation. I didn't give any type of direction, but I'm gonna throw it back in your direction.
Shouts out to Joshua. Joshua asked, and we didn't really get into it yet, brother. He says, "Where does imposter syndrome fit in?"
Oh,
And
we got some
he says,
comments.
yeah,
Okay.
he said, "Forgive me if I missed this already," which we didn't. We didn't. That would be interesting. And you kind of alluded to it in regards to what I heard from you say, anyways. Right now is where your identity and identity doesn't necessarily align. Did you just say that right
Yeah.
now? Yeah. Um that's going to be interesting if we dive into imposter syndrome. And I think a lot of us at some point in time have gotten to a place and kind of wondered how did we do we belong here? How do we belong? And then here's another one that's interesting, is also survivor's guilt. I think that those two concepts are something that we can delve into, if not this show, then another episode in regards to it, Joshua. But no, we didn't go over that as of yet. We're kind of just really defining this as we head into this series on identity. And you mentioned, brother, I loved it when you spoke about decide versus choosing, that distinction. And I think I forget who spoke in regards to it, in regards to deciding, but just in the root, in the word itself, it means to cut off, right? So this D die is cut off the and die the other way. So that's important. The beliefs, when we get down to it, we're given beliefs, and then we have a choice of accepting them, right? We where the beliefs are there, and then we decide, or we choose sometimes, of whether we're going to accept that belief or not. And when I hear belief, I kind of hear it's what we use to kind of check things. Um, and 1000%, the when we talk about belief is that you believe in something. But you may not be cognizant, it may not be conscious to you, but subconsciously you believe something. That goes when we get in apostle syndrome, we can say it because you believe that you shouldn't have this, or you shouldn't have this title, or be in this place, or this room, or whatever it is. Like that's a part of your belief system, which is tied to your identity. Your identity is in your mind. There's two things on, like, I'm here, and then your belief is that maybe I don't deserve to be here, right? Maybe that I'm missing something. And sometimes people say, well, it was so easy. It was too easy for me to get here. Or I don't have all the information, so possibly I don't need to be here. So that could be part of that imposter syndrome. Um, I think as we go through this series and this lecture, we're really going to, because it's important. It's like, how do you intentionally accept, decide on your identity, and how empowering it is going to be for you to actually identify as this. Oh, I was thinking, I'm in the
That's
gym,
dope.
right?
You said a lot right there.
I'm I'm 10 I'm 10 weeks into the gym, right? So there came a point, and I know it's 10 weeks because I made a decision. I decided that 10 weeks ago that I'm going to be this thing. I am in the gym. I'm a healthy person. Let's say that's what I decided. I am a healthy person. And I remember writing it down. This is Mike 2.0. Right? I always give somebody a 2.0. This might be Mike 13.0, really, when you think about it. But this is Mike whatever. This is my new version of self. And I am deciding that this is what I'm going to do. I am deciding that I'm going to walk X amount of steps. I think it's important that as we make a decision, especially if you're coming into alignment with whatever your journey is to have goals, not only just goals. I think goals are just the beginning part of it, but as this is going to be a journey and this is a process, so I don't want anyone to be discouraged on this journey or this process, but it's always good to have benchmarks so that you can check in. It's easy with health because we can say, body fat percentage, we can say weight, we can take pictures, and we can go back to check to see how far along we are going on this journey of this identity that we are at this point. But the metrics, it helps because it brings to this belief of self, it brings something substantial, right? It allows you to see this journey, right? It allows you to see who you are in the midst of becoming. And really, when you get to it, who you are. And there's a difference between this becoming and who you actually are, right? Because if you're becoming something, it may seem that you're never going to get there sometimes. So you got to look at the setbacks, what else that you're always looking for, and this happens, right? What I look forward to. But when you become this thing, when you already are, and all you're doing is all your habits are aligned to it, your way of being is aligned to it, then you are this, and no one can tell you different,
Mm.
right? Because this is how you see yourself. So this identity, as we get deeper into this, and this shift in this identity, this is like, and once again, I'm not here to give you permission to do this. You have to give yourself. Beethoven told me one time, he said, I had to give myself permission. You need to give yourself permission and make the decision to decide that this is where I want to go, and who I am, not just who I'm being. The journey is the becoming and the journey, but who I am. Because if you can make that shift, the brother spoke about experience before. You may have the same experience, but if you are something else, you may look at it differently, right? A person may look at it like, oh, my mother wasn't in my life or something, right? And you may look at it from a negative standpoint. Like if she was just around, it could have been different. Instead of now, when you're becoming and you are, when you become that I am, you're saying
Mm.
now,
Whew.
because she wasn't there, right? Because she wasn't there, look how powerful I am. Right. Look at all these great things. And maybe you may even get to the point where like she was still there anyways, right? Like all this added up to this positive being, this positive me that I am. Everything you will turn around and I'm only talking in a positive nature because that's kind of what we are in this connotation, right? We're all we're it's a positive environment, right? You may start to look at and the resentment and the regrets go away because I my current self needed all of that for this journey, this success journey that I'm on, right? All of that. I can't even imagine what I would have turned out if I didn't have this. Something that somebody else might have told you was negative. Well, you're a motherless child, you're a fatherless child. But wait a minute, I needed all of that, right? I needed all of that. And then if this person comes back into your life, your mother, your father, whatever it is, you appreciate them for it. Listen, if you didn't do that for me, if you didn't do that for me, I wouldn't be where I am or who I am. Right? You just start to look at things different. Your experiences, and when I say when Joe's talking on experiences, but I mean the factual thing that happened. The factual things that happened worked out for me. It became positive for me. Nothing else. You don't you look you're looking back and you're not resenting. You're not rejecting these things because it all took what everything that happened took what to make you what you were you are, brother.
Yes, yes, yes. That's it. Joshua, I don't know if you're still there, man, but like that framework that Mike just laid out, I love it. I love it. And I believe that if we were to use that framework and okay, so I want to use his framework and I want to drill down just a little bit because I like to just touch a little bit on that imposter syndrome with what Mike was just saying. And Mike, correct me if I got this wrong because I tried to write it down. But it was like you said, how we believe our identity or how we see our identity. Is that what you were saying when you first started?
How we see our identity, how we see ourselves,
Yeah.
possibly.
Okay. So I think you
Josh, if
said,
Josh was still there, he said, "I'm here."
okay. So when he was starting to talk about that, it was like, okay, how do I see my identity? Not just see myself, but, you know, how do I see who I am? Right. So he started talking about alignment, process, and that big word seeing. And so, like, when you start to think about this identity and, we're going down this road of imposter syndrome, it's like, how do I know I'm an imposter? How do I know I'm an imposter? Well, the only way I can know I'm an imposter is if I believe I'm an imposter. So, like, an imposter syndrome is the psychological phenomena where an individual doubts their own accomplishments. They fear that they're going to be exposed as a fraud despite evident success. Well, I disagree a little bit about that, just a slight bit, you know, and that's because whose evidence is it? Is it my evidence? Well, because if I disbelieve in the evidence, is it truly my evidence? It's not my evidence because evidence is something that convicts. So if it does not, well, let me put it out there like this. Evidence can either convict or not convict, but I will not use evidence that will not work in my favor. Right? Does that make sense? Like, I'm not going to go to court and try to take evidence that proves me wrong. That would be foolish of me because every time I showed up in court, I will be proving that I need to go to jail or I need whatever the punishment is. That's kind of like what imposter syndrome is. It's like when you show up and you bring something that disproves your validity. So, where this comes from is it's because there's a great deal of doubt, and doubt is belief turned upside down.
I believe more that I'm not qualified than I do that I am qualified. So how do I get through with that? Right? So I'm trying to get through with that. And it comes down to confidence. Where is my confidence level? Because confidence is the feeling, a process of consciousness of your own power, your own intellect, your own capacity, your own conviction that you are able to meet the challenges that are standing in front of you. So, confidence is the thing that validates you, that says you can do A, B, C. So, if there's no confidence there, then you're going to have doubt about whatever it is. So it's like, I'm going to tell you a story about what they used to say in the old days when people were getting the Holy Ghost, right? This is before my day, but I took it as gold, and I did the same thing that they said before me. So people will be tarrying, trying to get the Holy Ghost, and they'll be calling on the Lord, and then they jump up, start speaking in tongues, and the old saints would let them shout, let them have a good time. They're having a good time and everything. And when they come down and sit down, they say, now go back and call on him all over again and be sure that you got what you got. Woo! Hold on. Let me bring it up to date and let's talk about basketball. Like when I'm dealing with my son goes to the 3-point line. He hits it. Dad, look at this, how I made it. Boom! He hits it. Like, ooh, boy, that thing was good, man. You got that 3-pointer looking like that. Swish. I say, so what do I say? Do it again. Swish. Do it again. Bing. Do it again. Bing. Do it again. Bing. Do it again. Bing. So when you step on the court, son, you may not believe that you can hit that 3-pointer at any given moment. Why? You ain't got the reps in. You don't really believe in what you did. Everybody else is telling you, oh, you was lucky. You believe that narrative more because when I asked you to do it 10 times, you only hit it the first 2 when you couldn't repeat it the next 8. What does that mean you need to do? Does it mean that you have the skill, the ability to do it? Yes, you do. But there's small tweaks that you may need to make. It may need to be how you hold the ball, how you jump off the foot, how you come off the dribble. It could be so small, very, very small tweaks that you're not using each and every time. So you get a different result. And because you get a different result, you end up doubting that you can actually do it if you do not persist. Hence, imposter syndrome. Now, when I'm doing it and I'm coming out there and I'm accepting, instead of like what we did when we were youth and we just get out there, oh man, I'm the greatest 3-pointer in the whole world. You know how we do all that stuff, all this type of stuff. And then when we get up there and we shoot our first shot, we can't even hit the rim. No, man, I ain't hot yet. So you do it again, can't hit the rim. Do it again. Now you're building a brick house. And now everybody's feeding in that. Man, I told you was garbage. You da 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 da. And now you're hearing all that and you associate yourself with garbage. So now you can't hit the next 3. So before you know it, you ain't even trying for a 3. You're trying for a layup. And you gave the 3 up because your confidence was shot. So now the next time you come into a game, your boys are like, yo, man, hit them 3s like you did the other day. And you feel like, I don't believe I can do it, but let me not tell anybody. Imposter syndrome. It's not because you're an imposter. It's because you haven't taken the time to harness your skill. So it's like we as men, we need to take more time. Like as men, we start to get this ego and we be running with our ego. Like I do it one time, like people will come to me. They're like, Joe, you're a great speaker. And then one day I didn't speak so well. Listen, bro, this is what I went through. I'm like, gosh, what happened to my speech? And then I go back. Oh, You didn't really practice for that speech. Oh, you didn't really prepare. Oh, you thought you can go off the noggin. You thought you could do it without studying. You thought you could just show up because you're so great. And now I walk in the room and I'm feeling like Mr. Imposter. Am I even supposed to be in this room? I don't think I should be. And all my boys like, oh man, come on, fill me up, fill me up, fill me up. And now I'm battling that. Why? Because I don't want to tell them the truth. Not that I can't do the speech, but that I have not prepared. And so my confidence is low. And so this is what I would say about imposter syndrome. I would say, I don't know, he said I love it too. I'm not sure what he was talking about, but I would say if there's any man out there that feels like they may be going through the imposter syndrome, I would say take that thought, throw it in the garbage. And whatever you are feeling an imposter syndrome about, start practicing it. And we got AI now. Punch it right into AI. What is it that you are attempting to do? And just punch it in AI. Say, listen, this, I want to do X, and I like to be the best at X. What are the different skills that I need to learn and practice on a day-to-day basis to be the best at X? And then I would do it. And I believe, and Mike was talking about this just like 2 episodes ago. I believe that don't worry about how much time you put into it, but the activity, how many times you do it, the reps, do the reps. It's like lifting weights. You know, you can go in there on the day that you're strong. And what I mean by that, you had enough rest, you drank enough water, you had enough protein, maybe you had some creatine, you had a pre-workout. The stars are aligned. You get underneath the bench press, and for the first time you lift something you ain't never lifted. Boosh. And you just walk up, I'm the baddest mofo from here and all over the place. And then the next time you come out there, you can't lift, 15 pounds less than that. It's not because you can't do it. It's simply because of the reps. So that's what I would say, my brother.
I love it, man. I love it. A lot to unpack with it. I want to talk about when we get back to the identity. When you mentioned, you're cheering him on, is your how important the environment is, right? As even regards to this imposter syndrome. If you have someone that believes in you, that helps, right?
Yeah.
If you have someone that says, "Hey, you did it was a bad game this game, but you'll get them next time." Right. So to have so for your environment to be conducive in order for you to help battle that, because the imposter syndrome is it's negative self-talk, right? It's that negative self-talk. If we could just change it like that, we would do it. I would just do it. Become aware of it. What was it? Who was it? Was it a look that Joel gave me that made me doubt myself? That planted this seed of doubt? Was it someone in the crowd? And we don't even know what they were doing. They could have been booing something else, but you took it upon yourself. That like, how did you see it? So become aware of this self-talk, especially in regards to how other people see you. Very, very important. Am I looking for these people? Like I'm like, what effect am I attempting to have on these people? Expectations. You're right. Like you're looking to have this person's expectations. No, you come and you be 1% better. That's why you're here at the Community Beacon, is so that we can be 1% better. I love the confidence talk, and there's a slight difference between confidence and arrogance. That arrogance that Joel spoke about me. You never did it a day in your life, and you coming out there and talking. Some of us are that way. It's a defense mechanism at times. You ever seen someone? They want to fight, and then they finally meet someone who can fight. Like, right now you're in trouble. Right? You're not necessarily confident in your abilities, and just what Joel said is that it's the preparation. Right, is just you continue to prepare, like prepare yourself in whatever skill this is. Everything is a skill. Some people are they're around an environment earlier that, if everybody around you was an athlete, like you, so you could become an athlete, and it's different for you. However, you can become this. It's a skill. You still have to practice, right? They say um practice beats what they say, because I
Talent.
always think about, well, say it, yeah, practice
Practice
beats
beats
talent.
talent.
You're right. Hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard, right? So when it comes down to it, I always think about Carmelo
Woo.
Anthony. I always think about Carmelo Anthony because Carmelo Anthony is the talent wise. He probably was better than LeBron when they were coming out, right? Around that same time. Talent wise, Carmelo was the one, but LeBron ended up outworking him. He's still, matter of fact, LeBron is still playing to this day, right? Because he took the time out. Look at Tom Brady, probably the best ever at that QB position. And if you look at him during the combine, he looked nothing like an elite quarterback to come out and win all the rings he did. So the preparation is important, and practice doesn't make perfect. That's one of those sayings that we kind of just need to throw away, right? It doesn't make perfect. Practice makes competent, right? And then when you
Mm.
become competent, now you have confidence because the arrogance is out the window. So I may stink up the floor, keeping with the sports analogy, this game. But Jordan says, okay, I'm gonna catch you next time. I'm gonna catch you next year because now I'm gonna prep. I'm not gonna be perfect. We spoke about it last week. I'm going to miss shots. I'm going to miss shots when the game is on the line. But guess what? Put it back in my hand. We spoke about Kobe. He missed a shot. I remember it was at the Miami Heat game. He called the Heat equipment manager and said, "I need you to open up this this gym." And he went back there and he practiced that same shot for hours, right? So with that is the practice. Practice makes competence. Competence makes confidence. And then we can start asking these questions. I noticed that with people with imposter syndrome, because oftentimes we may come here with a false bravado because we're here. Throw that out. It's easier said than done, right? I've been there as well.
Mm.
But you got to throw the false bravado out the window. You're faking the funk, right? And the people who know, they know. It's great to humble yourself. So we add humble to this equation. We humble ourselves and we say, maybe we even take a back seat. I'm not quite and gain clarity. I'm not quite understanding this. And then the moment you do understand it after gaining clarity, boom, you're back on it. And the more you do that, the more you build up confidence. We are just putting pennies in the bank. We're just putting
Mm.
pennies in the bank of confidence, right? This is deposit. We're just depositing these pennies in the savings bank of confidence, and then we show up, right? We show up and we're present. Okay, so man, I love this conversation because I think we've all been there, right? And understand where these emotions are coming from. When I play ball, here this goes back to the preparation, and then we spoke about how many times we do it. It or I think when I used to do theater in high school as well. So, but before a big play, before I was before the tip off during basketball, I would get butterflies. And
Mm.
even remember one time I was the lead in Peter Pan, and right before the right before the theater, right before the show, our main show, I threw up. Right, the acting teacher was going crazy, but these were just these feelings. And then I went out there and I killed it. Basketball, I killed it. So I started saying, okay, this is just me preparing. Some people it may throw them off. This was imposter syndrome. Imposter syndrome. I practiced. I prepared. I know the play. I can close my eyes and go to the spot on the court that I need to go on to. I know all the plays. I know this because of the preparation, right? Even though the theater teacher drama teacher was looking at me like, oh God, he's about to bite it. I went out there and gave one of the best performances out there, right? Because I knew that's what it was. And when I was doing speeches, and I still give speeches from time to time, I know I'm gonna give it. I know I'm gonna give a good speech because I feel those butterflies. That means that I care. That's what I just turned it. I just changed the thought how I looked at it, and then I just look at my hands. Right. I like to put my hands out there, and I have my little thought process, and I just say, okay, well, let the Most High speak through me, and whatever I'm going to give is going to be what it's supposed to be, as long as I have that. So these are just little tricks that I use that ended up becoming habits, and now it's on autoplay. So just the preparation is and preparation is important because we're having this self-talk. But to just be aware of what you are, because if you're asking this question, you're aware of the self-talk that's happening. Now, how do I reframe this? Right? How do I change this? Because I am this, whatever it may be that you're doing. I am this. I deserve to be here. What's going on with the self-talk? Am I looking at someone's expectations? Do I need them to nod their head? Do I need them to have an emotion? You don't need any of that. You need to show up and be present, right? Be present through the entire thing, and let them speak to you. But that practice goes a long way.
Yeah. I like
I was
that. I like that, Mike.
and I was thinking about presence. I thought it was interesting. I saw a clip on, I want to say it was Instagram, when I was of a kid I used to work with at the center, right? And he's not a kid anymore. He's a whole man now. The guy, he's like, he's in his 20s. He worked at the center. I'm like, man, I know that's Lawrence, right? Like I said, I know that's Lawrence. And when I saw him, he was in a city shirt. I'm like, Lawrence worked for the city. Then, through some further digging, I found out that maybe 3 or 4 or 5 kids that we were involved with, they're men now, 3 or 4 or 5 have jobs at the city. And I was saying, in regards, and this goes back to this environment, um, we made such a impact with these kids, right? That they all decided that we made the city job look good, apparently, is what it was, because all of them ended up getting jobs working for the city, right? I'm jumping back into this identity and this influence part of it, because we didn't really
Yeah.
touch on the influence of it. How your presence, when you're showing up in your best way, how you influence the people around you, right? The encouragement with Joel, with the conversation with his son, because I know this is something that he's doing. He brought it up because this is going on, right? The basketball story. This is actually happening. Is that how important is his presence and how he's influencing his son, right? Like this is part of that. When we start to have this negative self-talk, to have someone encouraging you. So even when Joel is not there, I imagine Jonah's going to be hearing that voice like, okay, well, I just need to prepare, right? Because Joel is there showing up with his presence, influencing him and giving him this information. Man, let's jump into that before we cut it off. Let's talk about the influences, brother.
Yeah. I love it. I love it. Because I agree with you. You pointed out a few different things, multiple things that had to deal with influence. First off, you start off with environment. Your environment is influential. We talked about this before. We talked about the zip code that you're brought up in. You may not be able to control what zip code you're born in or which one you live in as a child, but as you get older, you can control it, right? You get to a certain point where you can control it. And if you don't control it, that's on you. That's your preference, right? But your identity, let me swing the pendulum like this. So your identity will affect your influence. And so we need to read my hat, be intentional.
Mm-hmm.
All right. We need to be intentional with our identity. You need to show up the way you desire to show up, because guess what? You are influencing whether you want to or not. Doesn't matter. Somebody is being influenced by what you do. So I'll tell you an old story. I'll never forget. I was going to this little, I'm not going to mention the name of it because I really don't remember the name of the church organization. But I was going to it and they had this youth service. This is up in Virginia. They had this youth service in a different building. And so I was attending it. But when I got there on one day, I was a bad boy. Like my identity was fluctuating.
So I showed up there. I had something in my pocket and everything like that. Like I'm thinking I'm going, distribute a bag or two to some of these, young people. And there was a boy named Raul, and he saw me. He saw me. Now, I am not trying to be anybody's influence. I didn't know which way I was going, left, right, up, down, backwards, forward. I had no clue on who I was, what I was, where I was going in life. I was lost. I was lost. I was lost. And I did that. Now, I don't remember how many days or weeks it was, but I came back to that youth group for that service, and I had a different mindset. I wanted to gain something out of the service. And when I got there, guess who was there? Raul. Raul came, sat right next to me. And Raul had something in his pocket. He wanted to share it with me. And I looked at Raul. I said, man, what you doing? This is church. Why are you doing that? What is wrong with you? And I don't remember when it was when it dawned on me, but I realized in my own psyche, my own conscious, my belief system was I influenced him to be that guy. I showed him that. This was unintentional. So what's my point? Be intentional. We are influencing somebody, whether we are being intentional or unintentional, whether it's consciously influencing or unconsciously influencing. So when we get a little older, we have children, this becomes detrimental because the words that we use, the environments that we're in, all of these different things start to affect how our children are showing up. And we start looking at them and we're like, why would you do that? And it's because we are unconsciously influencing their behavior and they are identifying with it. Now, everybody else on the outside is looking in. They're like, oh, they're just like you. Oh, that's something you do. You're like, hold on. And you got the husband and the wife pointing fingers at each other. Child start lying. You do the same thing. Every time you get on the toilet, you tell them that you ain't here on the telephone. That's a white lie. Everybody pointing fingers. Because we are unconsciously showing up in a certain way, and our children are being influenced and they are identifying with it. So going back to the word that Mike just used, 10, 15 minutes ago, was become aware. We need to examine ourselves. I got to say, wherever I find myself, I check myself. I got to figure out, who am I today? Am I the person that I desire to be today? Am I showing up that way? Am I putting the practice in? Am I putting the work in to be the guy that I believe that I am? Or am I something different? Let me check. Yes. No. Hold on. What am I? All right. Let me fix this. Let me fix it. And like, be intentional about it. It's just like when you get to the basketball court, the shot ain't dropping. What am I doing differently? Oh, yeah, that's right. I started to try to shoot with my left hand instead of my right. That's why it ain't dropping. Do the right thing. Be consistent. So influence is very, very important, because just as we are influencing somebody else, back to the pendulum, right? We are being influenced by somebody else. And there's a bunch of people out there, I won't be influenced. Whatever. You can say whatever you want. Because just like you influence somebody intentionally or unconsciously, you are being influenced intentionally or unconsciously. You are accepting influence intentionally or unconsciously. Somebody show up, they're like, nah, I'm just me. Da, 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 da. Okay. But how come when I hear you talk, I hear you speaking like that rapper? I hear you speaking like that podcaster. I hear you speaking like the president. I hear you speaking like your next door neighbor. I hear you speaking like auntie so-and-so and uncle so-and-so. Why are you acting like your dad? Why? Because you've been influenced. You accepted something that somebody else did. You made it your own. That's what we call narrative. You took whatever it was that they were feeding, you ate it, and you kept it. That's influence. There's nothing wrong with influence. All I'm saying, and I believe we're saying, is you just need to check that influence. Is that who you are or who you desire to be? Because it is who you are. Listen, if a garbage man delivered milk every single day and no garbage, would you call him a garbage man or would you call him a milkman? So the way you show up is you. That's who you are. And if your influence came from some negativity and you find yourself cussing people out the same way somebody else cussed them out, or you find yourself lifting somebody up the same way somebody else lifts somebody up, you find yourself being compassionate the same way someone else was compassionate, or you find yourself being stern the same way somebody else being stern, it's because you were influenced. Now you can rewrite it and you can keep what you want, make some adjustments, pivot. You can do that. It's yours. The influence may have started there, but now you can have a self-influence, but that comes from here, which means you must be intentional. You got to think it. You got to think about what you think about, and then you have to ask yourself, is what I'm thinking about, does it serve me? And if it serves you, then you have to put it into practice. And that's how influence works on both different sides. But at the end of the day, in the center of it, you own it. What'd you say, bro?
I'm looking at Joshua. Joshua, I don't think I've ever met anybody from South Dakota, man. Shouts out to Joshua as he spoke about coming from South Dakota. And being present, loves it. Environment, man. Farmer mechanic, you were weird. So that you just explained how environment plays such a huge part. And definitely we'll be talking about this entire thing. I think maybe for the next 3 or 4 weeks we'll be keeping on with the identity influence. Maybe I believe so. Hopefully that's where we're going with it. And getting back to Joel, I love it. It's just making it so clear, right? Like once you get clear on your values and understand that, and you make a decision, you make a choice. Not a choice, excuse me. You decide, because these things are happening and now we're aware. We get to make this decision, right? You get to do it. And so you can decide, whether it serves you, the brother says serve you, or whether it's empowering or disempowering. Like you get to decide it. My brother Mark said it a couple months ago. He said, I just decided that I was choosing these things. Once I became aware of it, I decided unintentionally, I decided it. I'm accepting these things, right? So you get to choose what you accept. And here's the beautiful thing, empowering thought, is that I get to choose my identity, and get clear on what it is that you value in life, things that are aligned, and then everything else just becomes a lot easier. Right, like everything from that point on, things what you decide on, the yes, the no's, which are probably better than the yeses. The no's are decided. The brother sometimes asks me a question, and he knows that it'll be like a 3 to 5 second thought, and is that nope, like nah. And I don't feel, here's the thing, I feel no guilt about it. You can't shame
I
me.
believe that.
You can't shame me.
Boy,
You
that's
can't
amazing.
insult me. You can't guilt me. Remember back in the day when people could kind of get you to go in the way because they were insulting you, shaming you, or guilting you? Nah, maybe, hey, we'll figure it out next time. And then, man, I should have probably did it, but okay, well, it is what it is. It's in the past. Next time, we'll move on from there. But you get a chance, man. How empowering is that? right? I don't care what age you are, 20, 30, 40, 50, you get to decide who you are, right? Like you get to decide, you get to be in alignment, you get to move with purpose, you get to to decide these different things. You get to decide your identity. What are you? You a healthy person? You a you're a learner, you're a lifelong learner, you're a like what is it? You get to decide it. What are the and you get it, I'm in real estate, so let me bring this up really. That environment is a crucial piece. So you get to decide your environment. Is it positive? How, the pressure, right? Like I remember there were certain places that you can't walk on the sidewalk because you don't know what's gonna jump out of the alleyways. Do you want to do that? Right? Like you do you want to do it? So figure that out. That environment is a huge piece because, like Josh mentioned, if you don't do certain things that are within the environment, you're looked at as weird, right? And what you could be doing could be completely healthy, right? You once you gain exposure, you're like, wait a minute, and that happens to me all the time now. At this age, I'm like, man, we used to, we thought this was normal. It's not normal, right? It's not normal. All right, but
Let's close it out.
let's close it out. What's your
I got two things. One, I like what you just said about being weird because I took on the influence of my pastor and something that he said. He said I'm different. So you ain't hear me saying a lot of that because I'm different. Like I own that statement. I took it to myself. Now he was the influence. He was the influencer. He said it first. But when he said it, I resonated so deeply with it. And I thought about it. It's the people that are, this isn't an always thing, but it's the people that are so different that they make changes in the world because they just will not accept the norm. But they will pour in and pour in. So, like to Joshua, people they consider you to be weird, but I mean, just by the words that you placed inside of that last piece about your sponge mode, that's dope. And if that's who you are, you're gonna do an incredible work. You probably already are. So I'm glad to hear about it. Let me go ahead and share this little thing with everybody. Let me see if I can do this right. I didn't prep it while we were sitting there. I just want to share this right here. Hopefully I can do this right. Just want to tell everybody. Can y'all see that? There you go. So tomorrow I'm gonna be in a leadership workshop at the teen conference in Boynton Beach. Love for y'all to come on out there and see me. That would be absolutely amazing if you did. And I would love to be able to connect and see you all. This is the information right here. I'm putting it inside of the, putting it out there. There you go. That's the location, the event location, Palm Beach State College, Public Safety Training Center, Conference Center. There's the address, 4200 Congress Ave, Lake Worth, Florida, 33461. This is the EJS project and the Youth Services Council. May the 10th is tomorrow. And I'm going to be a panelist over there. And we're going to be talking about habits, y'all. So, we dove in deep onto habits just the other day, just for the last 4 weeks. So we're going to go into some more depth about habits, and we're going to start talking about a few other things. But I'm excited about it. So if I see you out there, come up. Let's take a picture together. Love to see you. We got a lot of stuff going on. I'm sorry that I haven't put as much stuff. I mean, if you guys wanted to jump out there and meet with us sometimes, I know that I haven't been putting a lot of it out there, but it has been crazy, y'all. So looking forward to seeing you. And whenever you need to get a house and you're in Palm Beach County or wherever this brother is at, let me tell you, Not only can he sell the house, because there's plenty of realtors that can sell a house, but he's the type of guy that goes above and beyond. He's going to know the demographics. He's going to know what's happening, the ins and out of the city, of the community. He's going to be able to find you the diamond in the rough. He's going to be able to find you exactly what it is that you're looking for. And that's one of the things that I love about him, because even the house that I'm in has increased in its value 100-fold. I mean, my house is worth twice the amount that I paid for originally. And that brother told me from the beginning. He knew it from the beginning, from before the time that I actually even purchased the home. So I trust this to say, go see him and it'll be a good thing. Let me tell you though, I know that he doesn't deal with everybody. So come correct. You know how we talk on this thing. So if you ain't the right client, if you're not at the right level, well, praise the Lord. But that's between you and
He
him.
said, praise the Lord. What's the time, brother? You didn't give us a time on the
Oh, I apologize, y'all. So
tomorrow.
it starts at 9 and it goes all the way till 4. My panel will start like around 12:30, 12:50, I believe it is. 12:50 is when my panel. But I'll be there throughout the entire event. So if you just want to come shake hands and talk or whatever, come on by.
Yeah, man. You all get it. If you all are in the area, definitely go check the brother out. Let me close. Here's a question as you all go. Who told you who you are? Who told you that? I just want you all to think about that for a second, right? To let's own in on this identity, right? There's no judgment. There shouldn't be any judgment involved. Just say, hey, how did I become who I am? Right? Sometimes we get to a part and it was unintentional. And once we move forward and you can answer that, right? Then you can go from a place of just reacting to now responding. Right now you can respond in your purpose as you choose, right? You get to choose to say, this is who I am. I love it. It- I'm moving in purpose, right? So that's it. Let's get to work. Let's do the work and let's choose who we are intentionally. Let's be intentional about it, man. Other than that, man, we appreciate you all and we will see you. Be intentional. We'll see you next week, man. Peace.